Jim Carroll, Ralph Baber, psychology takeaway. You need a dose of the real. Life's absurd. We know the deal. Did you hear? Don't let it get you down. Turn that frown. Upside down, down, down.
Oh, this is Jim.
And Ralph.
Oh,
And Jim
I'm
was
just waking
asleep at
up
the
here.
wheel.
Hi. Well, you can hear Ralph's voice, I think, but as we can see from the studio, we have an empty chair. Now, we psychologists do stuff with empty chairs from time to time, but today, Ralph is not in the empty chair. He is at home, and we're doing this as a remote broadcast. We'd like to be able to see Ralph's smiling face, and so that everybody knows that he's recovering nicely from his broken hip. But unfortunately, technical glitches have occurred. And Ralph, are you here? Can you talk?
I can talk, yes.
Okay. So we can hear
And
your
I can even
disconnected
listen,
voice, but
which
we
is
can't see you.
something that a lot of
Alex
people
is here,
don't do.
manning, personing the controls. And hey, people will ask how we get the ideas that we have for our podcasts. Well, I was at a skating rink, a roller skating rink, and I won this thing, a Hello Kitty sleep mask. So I said, hey, we should do this on the program and talk about sleep. So, are you ready to talk about sleep, Ralph?
I am.
Okay.
Now, one of the interesting things, Jim, is that we've talked about sleep before, and one of the things that we said was that most people don't get enough sleep.
Right. You should get, in a 24-hour period, you should, quotation marks, get about 16 hours of wakefulness and about 8 hours of sleep, right?
Yeah. So right now, the research suggests that the sweet spot is 7 to 7.5 hours of sleep. That is good, solid sleep.
Right.
Uh,
No
but
awakenings.
less than 7 hours or more than 9 hours is linked to increased risk of stroke or dementia or decreased life expectancy.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So what we want is to find the sweet spot. So basically, one of the things that we also found out just recently is that even though you might say, well, I'm a natural night owl and I like to be up at 2 or 3 in the morning,
not a good idea
it's
sometime.
better for you to be in bed and asleep no later than midnight.
Mm-hmm. And we can talk a little bit about what you should be doing prior to going to bed, because one of the biggest problems with sleep problems is what we do in the daytime. You know, not having resolved areas of stress or staying awake. You know, kind of like you, Ralph. I mean, you said in the past that you're awake, you're reading, and then you play some game on your phone or your computer, and then you try to go to sleep. That's not a recipe for actually the best night's sleep, is it?
No, it isn't. And again, new research has suggested that every extra hour of screen use after going to bed, and a lot of people have a TV in their bedroom and they watch the late night talk shows and say, I'm going to fall asleep to the late night talk show. Well, if you spend an hour of screen time, you stand a 59% higher chance of insomnia symptoms. Symptoms. And
because you're all revved up, that serotonin, cortisol is pumping through your veins, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, a lot of people say, oh, my teenage son or daughter, they sleep in until 2 o'clock on the weekend because they're catching up.
Yeah. And we see
And
that at the university. Lots and lots of university students will sleep till noon on Saturday or Sunday, one in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon, and yet, can you catch up?
and the answer seems to be no.
Yeah.
We do metabolic damage to ourselves, and we gain weight uh, in a week of chronic sleep loss.
Gain weight?
Gain weight, yeah.
Okay. Why would that be, I wonder? I know. Is it that when we're not sleeping, we're doing something else with our head, like eating?
Well, like eating, and the other thing is we're not sleeping,
Yeah.
which is a way of getting rid of waste products, and we can talk about that in a second. But the other thing is that we're also being probably indolent. We're sitting in front of some kind of screen, a computer screen, a television screen, a
Uh-huh.
phone screen, and not moving around very much.
Not much exercise, you're saying.
Yeah.
I got you. Mm-hmm. So a lack of exercise will lead to sleep problems, which will lead to insomnia, which will lead to more inactivity. If you can't sleep, probably you should get up and do something, right?
Yeah. And, in certain areas of the U.S., it's probably not a good idea to go out for a walk at 2 in the morning. But even if you were living in a dorm, let's say, and you walked down 4 flights of stairs and across a hall and up 4 flights of stairs, and you did it 3 times without ever going into the dark alleys, it would be good for you, and it would increase your likelihood of getting a good sleep.
Yeah, I mean, kind of tire yourself out a little bit and relax. And yeah, one of the things that is kind of interesting is that the people who are most sleep deprived are probably the people who we count on the most to be awake and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Physicians typically, residents typically get about 5 hours sleep a day or a night, or maybe in a day. And truck drivers get about, maybe 6 hours. And, I don't think we want sleepy doctors or sleepy truck drivers. What do you think, Ralph?
No, I don't think that's a good thing. And, it's interesting that the medical community treats residents as if they can go forever. And they say, oh, yeah, we'll put him on a 72-hour shift and he can sleep in the nurse's room or, one of the treatment beds that's empty. Well, what happens when there's no treatment beds empty and, you're rushed off your feet for 12 hours and you're ready to crash and burn, and then somebody comes in and says,
Hey, we
I
need
have
you.
a
Yeah.
throat. I think I have
I think I just shot
strep
myself.
throat.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm having a stroke, or I just cut my arm off. Yeah. And you have to
You have to be at the
soldier up
top
and
of
do
your
it. Yeah.
game, man. You're sleep deprived.
Mm-hmm. So those are two things. I mean, truck drivers and physicians, because of their job, don't get enough sleep. But the biggest cause of sleep problems, Ralph? Stress.
Yeah.
We live in a very overworked, stressful environment, 24/7. Seems that we can't get away from it sometimes, and we end up taking it to bed with us. So
Right.
the things that we know about in terms of stress reduction are things that will help people get a better night's sleep. And in fact, down at the bottom under Learn More, got a couple of interesting ones. We've got Ariana Huffington does a TED Talk, not a very long one, about 8 minutes or so, talking about how she finally discovered that she was sleep deprived. She had been going for hours and hours without any sleep. She was at a recording studio, I guess. She fell asleep, hit her head on the desk. I think cracked a tooth, ended up with a couple of stitches, and that was her wake-up call in terms of, hey, I need some more
Almost
sleep.
literally, yes.
Yep. And also under Learn More, you'll see that my book on overcoming anxiety is listed there. So our viewers and listeners can go there and get a pretty good book in terms of how to deal with daily anxiety-producing scenarios, situations, so that you're not taking your anxiety to bed with you. What happens when we go to sleep? We go through about 5 stages. We start with the awake stage, then we get into kind of a drowsiness stage, then a relaxation stage, and we get into a theta stage, which is kind of the beginning of deep sleep, and we get into delta. Well, if we get awakened or disturbed at any of these stages, we don't ever get back down into this really deep delta sleep, which is what we need. This is the sleep that Shakespeare talked about, that knits the raveled sleeve of care. Yeah.
Yes.
So a lot of people are into light sleep or maybe moderate sleep, but they don't get into the deep sleep because they, maybe awakening after an hour or so. They've gotten enough sleep, they think, and things that have been happening at work begin to filter into consciousness. They begin to think about bad exchanges they had with fellow colleagues. We university professors might think about a paper that hasn't been written yet and is due tomorrow. All sorts of things that will keep us. It takes about an hour and a half to get down into this really deep delta sleep, and we're in there for about an hour or so. And
Yeah, now that leads to an interesting thing, Jim, because you've told me about your grandchildren who were fascinated when they first saw the Granger garbage truck that had the little robot that sent out an arm and picked up the garbage can and dumped it in the container.
yes, I'm still fascinated by that one, Ralph.
And that's kind of like our brain on deep sleep, because there's a system in the brain called the glymphatic system, which is basically a garbage disposal. And it flushes out toxic waste products, like those things that are associated with Alzheimer's disease.
Mm-hmm.
And you might say to yourself, well, I'm only 40. I don't have any chance of getting Alzheimer's. Well, if you don't get any deep sleep, you stand a much chance.
Yeah, much
Not
greater
at
chance.
40, but maybe at 50.
Uh-huh.
So apologize to your parents who have Alzheimer's for keeping them up at night as a kid. That's my takeaway.
So the thing is that lymphatic system works really well through our deep sleep. And it's worth knowing more about, because actually your brain cells shrink during deep sleep, and they create more interstitial space, the space between brain cells.
Mm-hmm.
And then allows our cerebral spinal fluid to flow freely and clear up waste twice as fast as when you're awake.
Okay, so when we talk about sleep hygiene, well, we really are talking about something, a hygienic approach to the whole body. So without a good night's sleep, we're not flushing away the toxins. And without a good night's sleep, the biggest result is that we're sleepy during the daytime. And, about 60 or 70% of the population at any one point in time is sleepy. And when you're sleepy, you're just not performing at your best, are you, Ralph?
No. And one of the things that a lot of people may find themselves doing is, I don't know what, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call it micro napping, when they're actually doing whatever task is appointed to them, and they've got, what looks like a 30-second downtime. They're waiting for another email to come or something like that. And they just kind of maybe don't even close their eyes, but their brain shuts down for 10 seconds.
Hey, you don't want to have a micro nap when you're on I-75 at 85 miles an hour, do you?
I've done it. It's not fun.
And people do that. And, people who recover from traffic accidents, how did your car end up going off the road like that? I don't know. I was just driving along and all of a sudden I was into the weeds. Well, probably somewhere along the line, your eyes might have been open, but your brain was shut down.
Or your eyes were actually closed also, and, that can happen. Let's see. What is a good takeaway for, I know you're going to tell us, Ralph, what W.C. Fields had to say about sleep disorders.
Yeah, he said, insomnia, I know a good cure for that. Get plenty of sleep. Well, the thing is, there are some hygiene things you can do to help yourself sleep. One of them is do not let yourself get on screens just before bedtime.
Okay,
About an hour before you're ready to go to bed.
Reduce the stimulation.
Shut off your screens.
Okay. And
the other thing is have a regular system.
Yeah. You mean like go to bed at kind of the same time every day, every night?
Every day.
Yeah,
so
get a
you
habit
can say
going.
to yourself, okay, I want to sleep about 8 hours. So if I go to bed at midnight, I have to sleep till 8 o'clock. Well, if you do that, that's fine. If you go to bed at 10 o'clock, you can get up at 6 o'clock and still have enough sleep.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's important that you don't go 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and you have no regular pattern, because then your body says, I don't know what to do with this.
Indeed. The body keeps count, or body keeps score. Something that we haven't talked about, Ralph, and I just want to mention it toward the end here, is that excessive sleeping is not good either. And, what's excessive? Oh, maybe 10 hours a night is excessive. If you're getting that much sleep, it could be that your body really does need it because there's some sort of a disease process going on. I know all winter, I had this upper respiratory thing going on, and I really did get a lot of sleep. And now it's finally cleared up, and I'm back to the regular, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. But there's another thing. If you're really depressed, you tend toward sleeping too much. So if you're sleeping, 10, 12 hours a night, you might look at yourself during the daytime and ask, what kinds of things am I taking to bed with me? What kinds of things are bugging me? And you might want to get some help from a psychologist, or use Alex's here beside me. Okay, let's see. There you go. Okay. Here is you want to press the button, Alex? There you go. Sleep-deprived technician. Hey, how old is your youngest child, Alex?
She's about 10 months old.
Sleep deprived automatically comes. That's why people should have children when they're young. Their bodies have more tolerance to being sleep deprived.
100%. But when I get dementia, hopefully I remember to blame my kids real quick.
Yep. Well, Ralph, we missed you here at the studio, and we're going to try to have you up here next week, right?
Right.
Okay. So until next week, are you going to hit the button, Alex?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the show on sleep. I think I'll put my Hello Kitty mask on and go and catch a few Z's. So until next week.
Sounds like a good plan to me, Jim. You can never get enough sleep, except if you sleep past 8 hours.
Okay. So remember, Ralph, that both of us want to keep our sticks on the ice
Because we're all in this
this
together.